I'm sorry that we can't be there right now, but you have been constantly in our thoughts, in our prayers, and in our hearts. Daniel and Matthew and I love you both very, very much. So just wanted to say, Grandpa, I just wanted to thank you so much for who you are and everything that you've done to invest in my life over the years. I'm thinking about a lot of my memories I've shared with you as a kid, going fishing at Hot Hole Pond and taking the boat out, Turtle Town Pond, and memories up at camp. Just the way that you taught me how to go on the mud flats and dig for clams, look for mussels. I was always very proud to be a Demmons. I am very proud to be a Demmons girl, and be able to have those experiences and memories as a family. He also taught me how to make sure I'm cooking my lobster properly and getting those rubber bands off the claws. Still think of you every time I get lobster at home. Make sure I do that properly. I'm also just so thankful for the way that you really made sure we knew how important family is and that time together. Some of my most special memories are just us sitting around the table and you telling stories about my dad and his siblings and just sharing lots of laughs. And I will treasure those always.
But just, kind of reflecting back over the last 16, 17 years, actually, since I first met you, it's, it's hard to believe 16, 17 years being part of this awesome family here. But, going back, thinking about some of my first memories with you and Grandma, getting to meet you up there in Gouldsboro. I think we were up there, it was before Jess and I were married, obviously, but we came up for Thanksgiving. And I was just so impressed by you and Grandma. You shared so much about your faith and your love for the Lord and all the things that the Lord's been, putting on your heart throughout the years on, how to serve Him, how to glorify Him in every way. And, you're just such an incredible man of God. And I was super impressed right before we left your house after that Thanksgiving, when the family was all together. You had us all get in a circle there in the living room, hold hands, and you prayed for us before we left, just for, God's mercy as we traveled, and that the Lord would keep His hand of blessing on the family. And, it really touched my heart, and I loved that time together. And I always looked forward to it because it was something you did every time we came to visit.
Thank you so much for the way that you've shared your faith and the way that you encouraged us to continue to know the Lord. You always just lived out your faith and taught us so much about leaning on God. And I know that I've been so encouraged over my life to draw nearer to Jesus. And a lot of it, I know you've prayed for us, and you've always just been such a leading example in our family, and that's something that I am so appreciative and grateful for. Daniel and Matthew and I love you very, very much. I can't wait. Caleb will be arriving soon, and I can't wait to tell him all about you and your stories.
That you genuinely love the Lord, and that you are always eager to share the good news of Jesus Christ, salvation, with anyone who will listen, and with everyone that the Lord brings in your path. I just remember countless stories over the years of the people that the Lord would bring into your church or into your life that you would make time and effort to disciple and show them the love of the Lord. And just, the joy of all that he's done for you over the years just kind of bubbles out in every conversation. And it's just been something that I always admire about you, and be said in my own life too, that people see that.
His predominant focus was his commitment to God and his life in God. And he wanted everybody that he met to know that in this life there is nothing else more important than your relationship with God. The Bible tells us very clearly that we all have the breath of life breathed into us. It comes from God. But we have a limited time on this earth. And when we die, we return to the dust of the ground. This body, it goes back to the dust of the ground from which it was formed. And Dad decided early on in life that his focus would be making the most of living his days for God. That was his message to anyone that he would come in contact with.
Dad, was a great man. And I totally respected everything he did as far as, he was a constant witness to people. He certainly never shied away from talking to people and sharing the word of God with people. I watched him many times when we were at camp, and I would see somebody pull in, and I'd be like, "What's going on back there?" But he would walk up and be all, "Hey, where are you from? Where do you live?" And the next question would be, "Where do you go to church?" And if they didn't go to church somewhere, he would invite them to our church. And I thought, here I was all, what are they parking in this spot for? And he turned it around and made it a way to witness to somebody. And I thought, man, I really need to be more like that. And I feel like that's the legacy that this man has left for all of us, is to take every opportunity to talk to somebody. And
That is the life that Dad lived. He had the breath of God in him, and for the days that he lived, he wanted to please God with his life, with all of his heart, with all of his mind, and all of his soul. And along with that, he loved people. Everywhere he went, he shared the love of God with them because he loved them, and he wanted the best for them, and he wanted them to understand that there was more to life than just enjoying life itself.
And I feel like that Diane and I both are going to make that commitment that whenever we see somebody, that's going to be our questions. Where do you live? And where do you go to church? And if they don't go to church, then we're going to invite them to our church.
Jesus said, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his own soul?" And the purpose in this life is not to fulfill ourselves with the pleasures and the enjoyments and the blessings of God. Those are wonderful things that God bestows upon us. But something far more important is, where is the eternal dwelling place of our soul when we leave this life?
The biggest lesson was to love Jesus. For that I thank him. That's the most important thing that he could have ever given us. And thank you, Dad, for that.
For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And nothing truer could be said that what we put our time and money into is where our heart will be. And Dad put his heart and soul and money into the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's what he did, right to the very end.
And every time I go down, I'd be wearing stuff like this. Bright colors. And he'd always look at me and say, "Joe, it looks like you're going on vacation." I said, "Well, every time I come down here, I feel like I'm going on vacation." I said, "Because I enjoy coming down. I enjoy spending time with you." I wear this Hawaiian shirt because of that man right there. Out of my heart, and for you guys as well.
Thank you, Joe.
But I just wanted to say I love you all, And I'm going to miss this man right here. Very much.
Dad he was our biggest fan, in everything that we did. I mean, all of us kids, we can say that. Rick and I, we were talking about that earlier about playing baseball, teaching us baseball, and he just loved to see us play games, to play sports, and just, I don't know, just Mom too, but he just took, it seemed like, the most enjoyment in watching us. And I know you guys sacrificed a lot to make sure that we had the best equipment to do anything that we needed to do. And he would do it gladly. And never tell us about it or anything. But I know as an adult now that was probably the case. That he probably went without things to make sure that I had the newest and best baseball glove, or the best cleats, or anything like that. Anything we needed.
One day, it calls me home, because I look forward to joining you in all the singing and dancing and worshiping that you're going to be doing up there. But know that I love you very much, and I am extremely honored and privileged to be able to call you Grandpa. So, I love you very much.
Well, Grandma and Grandpa, we love you. Thinking about you and sending you our heartfelt love. Love you.
We do, miss him. We're thankful for all that he means to us. But when he left this earth, his final breath was a big smile on his face. And Mom and I were both there, and he smiled, and he took his last breath, and he went to be with the Lord. And even though his natural eyes dimmed in that moment, his spiritual eyes were wide open to all the wonderful treasures of heaven that were waiting for him. And I remember him, yes, as my father, but I remember him, I think, more as someone who his heart's desire was the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ from a young age until his final breath.